All right, welcome back everybody. And showcase participant number 2 is BlueRithm. BlueRithm streamline your mission critical industrial and commercial projects. It's a different kind of commissioning and tab software, flexible, adaptable, scalable, easy to get started. Power your team to achieve excellence on complex projects. With BlueRithm, say goodbye to rigid platforms that limit your approach, and hello to this one where you maintain the uniqueness that makes your approach successful. So thank you for participating today, BlueRithm, and I'm going to hand it over to Andrew Martin, the president and founder of BlueRithm. Andy?
Thanks, Ray, and thanks everyone else for joining today. It's a pleasure to be speaking with everybody. Just going to take my few minutes here to talk about BlueRithm. We'll be just kind of hitting the highlights and looking at things from a high level. There's of course a lot more to see and talk about. So if anything that I talk about resonates with you, of course reach out and we'll dive into the weeds and figure out if it's really a good solution for you. So one of the most common questions we get when we're talking to people who have interest in BlueRithm and commissioning software in general is what's different about BlueRithm? Why are there so many different products? It's a small industry, relatively speaking. I think it really comes down to there's just so much variety and so much complexity. And because of the fact that every building we build is still, a unique prototype, everything's different. So different project types, different teams have different needs. Um, and the products that are out there kind of range from, we like to talk about it kind of on a spectrum of being very kind of guided or prescriptive or opinionated is a common terms used for software in general. And the other end of the spectrum is a flexible framework or even like low or no code tools like Airtable or Smartsheet or Microsoft Access. So there's a lot of platforms that sit on this end of the spectrum that are really good and really streamlined for your typical new construction commissioning with one type of checklist and one type of test form. And the extreme end where people are building their own tools with something like Microsoft Access or Smartsheet or something like that, completely not completely but pretty open-ended. um, So, pros and cons of each approach. The pros of the more prescriptive end of the spectrum are that oftentimes it can be easier to start. If there's a limited way to do things, then it's easier to just understand and there's only one way to do it. It can help when you have a team that's less experienced or just a team that's going off in a lot of different directions to kind of just funnel everybody into one way of doing things. Although that can be true for some of these others too, depending on how they're set up. And it can be really good too, just from a simplicity standpoint, when you only have the one type of project that really only requires that type of approach. The cons are obviously that if you need to do anything different, there's restrictions there. It's troublesome. Uh, Certain project types just not well suited for. And with the prescriptive or opinionated approach, it's someone else's opinion on how you're doing it. So if you want to do things differently, or if you historically have done things differently, you may find yourself being forced into an approach that might not work for you or your clients or what you're used to. On the other end, the pros are obviously that it's flexible. It can be adapted to different approaches. If you're a firm that does different project types, or you do work that's outside of the typical kind of standard new construction commissioning, where you've got the basic checklist, basic test forms, or you have lots of different types of projects, you do laboratory certifications, um, this might be more well suited for you. If you have workflows and approaches that you've built up and you have a client base that expects things a certain way from you, and you don't necessarily want to change that, more flexible tool, whether it's something on the market or something you build yourself with some of these low or no code tools, might be a better option for you. And if you have like the data center example is always your common commercial commissioning example, where you have multiple phases of commissioning and maybe you want to split it out and be able to actually track each of levels 1 through 5 of commissioning. So this is a common example of where a more flexible tool like that can actually split that project out and give you that fine level of tracking and detail and metrics and reporting and everything else that goes into everything else that these tools will do for you. Cons, obviously, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming at first if you are just trying to dive in and use the form building tools and use the project setup tools without really any guidance or templates as a starting point. It's possible to get lost there, and of course, if you're building your own thing, um, you need to have some vision and some experience in process design and some experience in product design and really understand kind of what your end goal is and how you're going to get there. And then, of course, if you're really designing your own custom workflows and process, you're relying on your expertise or your team's expertise. So where does BlueRithm fit on the spectrum? We like to say it's probably right about here. If you can see my cursor, if not, it's about 2/3 of the way towards the flexible end of the spectrum. So a lot of our customers came to us after trying other tools, or they had an in-house tool that they actually built themselves that became hard to maintain, and they just had either unique project types or complex project types. We have a lot of customers from the industrial industry. They're doing power plants and just complex automation, process automation stuff. And the typical kind of basic commercial new construction commissioning approach didn't really work for them. Their process involved more, their clients expected more, their project types required more. So that's about where we fit into the picture, and that makes up a lot of our customer base. So what really does that mean in terms of BlueRithm as a product? Well, it's based on more of a modular framework than again a very prescriptive approach with tight guardrails. So there are building blocks and modular pieces that you can kind of stack together in different ways to build up your workflows and your process and really the way that you want to do things. It's worth mentioning, I don't think I have a slide here that covers this, but it's worth mentioning that we do have a example template library to help you get started. Um, and most of our customers, what we're doing with them is actually assisting with their template library setup. So we have somebody on our team that actually will take all of the existing content that they use, big gnarly tracking forms, equipment matrices, and obviously different forms of checklist and test forms and everything they have, and they'll send it over. We'll digest it, set up a couple examples, and they'll give us a thumbs up or thumbs down, and then we'll just go and implement everything in their template library. And we'll be using these same tools and kind of building blocks that exist in the platform for all of our customers. We use those same tools to go through and do all that setup. Um, so again, just some examples of what BlueRithm is, what it's used for. Phase projects, very effective. There's some ways to divvy it up into the different phases and organize it that way. Data center commissioning, laboratories and equipment certifications, where you have some test forms that are very specific to that. Sometimes with formulas and other automations embedded into the forms. BlueRithm supports all of that. Existing building workflows and audits. We have a lot of customers doing existing building stuff with BlueRithm. Again, just building out their workflows, building out their test forms and project structures in a way that makes sense for their specific needs. Formulas, conditional logic, you can build all that into the forms if you need to. Biotech, pharma projects tend to be a little bit different. And then we have a fair amount of customers doing big complex industrial projects, which ends up being a little bit different than commercial commissioning, but it's very much related. So what these screenshots are showing here are just some of the tracking tools. And the main thing I wanted to highlight, and it's probably a little bit difficult to see actually, but the dashboard tools are actually showing, in this example, levels 3, 4, and 5 phases of commissioning for an example data center project. So rather than just showing progress of all checklists or progress of all test forms, it's splitting that all out. And you could split all that out further. You could look at this on an area by area basis, equipment type by equipment type basis, a system basis. So you can split these dashboards up and create different dashboards for all of these different dimensions of a project without needing to, try to make sense of just one single overall high level view of a project, which can be useful, but as the complexity and size grows, you need to get down into you need to have more granularity. So BlueRithm allows you to split up these different phases, different workflows as needed. This is just kind of a smorgasbord here of some form examples. An example test form, if you want to embed, pictures and screenshots and other things from the construction documents, you can. This one has some examples of what we call form validation. So you can build custom validation in where data or checkboxes are required to be addressed in order for that form to pass, so to speak. That's all customizable. You build all that into templates too, and then just copy and paste, or rinse and repeat, of course. Um, this example here, this is just an example of the PDF export from this form actually here. Again, just a variety of things here. It's a meeting minutes, a PDF export, a big matrix with embedded formulas for some kind of integrated systems testing that was happening. Screenshot from the report building tool. There's a built-in text editor, so you can do all of your entire report building process. You can do that in the BlueRithm report building tool, and that includes title pages and automated table of contents, your commissioning plans, your executive summaries. It's got the tools to handle all of that stuff, and it can also do basic reports like progress reports and issue reports and things like that, of course, too. But it's designed to be a top to bottom, fully comprehensive report building tool. Here's an example of a test and balance form. So there's formulas running with some validation and some other cool stuff. A little bit closer view of that test form on the previous slide. So kind of switching gears a little bit here. There's a lot of talk about artificial intelligence out there. I'm sure everybody's probably sick of hearing about it and how it's going to change the world and whatnot, but it is going to have an impact on everything that we're doing. We used to think that the folks working on behind computers and really with their minds more so than their bodies are the ones that we're going to be safe from a lot of the automation. But now it's quite the opposite until robotics catches up, anyways. So in any case, what that means is there's been a tremendous amount of progress with artificial intelligence in the last few years, and it's becoming more and more accessible to everybody. So obviously everyone knows about ChatGPT, which is from OpenAI, and their partnership with Microsoft and what Microsoft's doing. Google obviously has been for decades, a big player with artificial intelligence. So in any case, I think it's worth everyone's time just in general to think about this and how you can apply the tools that are out there already, even if it's ChatGPT alone, into your day-to-day workflows. Because the people that dismiss this and the companies that dismiss this and don't figure out how to leverage these tools early on are going to get, they're going to have a hard time competing with those that have adopted some of this stuff. So we have a lot of projects going on right now to integrate artificial intelligence into BlueRithm. The first AI tool that we released is a tool that will write test procedures, checklists, and in other types of process tracking documents based on just simple text input. So similar to how ChatGPT works, you can copy and paste a sequence of operation directly into the setup tool in BlueRithm, tell it what it's for. And if you want to see a full video of this, by the way, you can go on our website and there's a video there you can go check out. These are just a few screenshots, obviously. So anyways, you can tell it what you want it to create, either in just plain English, or you can copy and paste the sequence of operation. And the tool will give you a preview of what that test form will look like. And if you decide to use it, then it'll go ahead and just create the form template for you for your project, and it's ready to go in its current state. and then you can copy it out to, you know, if this is for an RTU, you can copy it out to all the other RTUs on the project. So super powerful and something that wouldn't have been possible, you know, even a couple years ago. So we're really excited about this. We've got like I said, a bunch of projects going where we're going to continue to get deeper and deeper into this, where to the point where, you know, we're really trying to help people just focus their time and energy on where it can truly add value versus administrative tasks. And we're kind of crossing over that boundary too, where the AI tools are actually, you know, acting as a, you know, a reasoning engine, and they can act as an engineering assistant in some ways. So another thing we hear a lot is,
Andy,
you know,
Andy,
it's great to sit.
Andy,
Yep,
if I could
yep,
just butt in for 1 second, we've got about 4 minutes
sure.
left. So if you want to just, I just wanted to let people know if you do have questions of Andy, fire them in there right now so we can get to them before time is up.
Yep, cool. Thanks for the heads up.
Sure.
Um, I'm a terrible presenter because I just go off on tangents, and I need someone to keep me in line here. Um, so another thing we hear from people all the time, you know, it's great to sit on a sales demo and see all these cool charts and projects that are set up, but uh, a big concern is like, how do you actually get from where you're at today, whether you're on another platform or you just have a giant library from the last 20 years of different templates and forums and project examples and everything. So, like I mentioned, we have people on our team that will literally, you know, do most of that work for you. Um, and we also have other tools that help with that. But long story short, like we can make it significantly easier than you think it will be to either migrate or uh, get everything set up from static documents, Word documents, and Excel documents, and so on. So just think about that a little bit. Like, where does your team sit? Are you somebody, or you're a team that would benefit more from you know, more prescriptive or opinionated software, or are you guys on the end of the spectrum where you need something a bit more flexible and adaptive to the types of projects and, you know, what you guys are doing? So changing gears again here, one more kind of subject to hit. Digital delivery. So another buzzword. You know, all the marketing departments for the big companies talk about this, but it's a real thing. So we have a lot of customers that are on projects where the owner, and it tends to be the bigger, more sophisticated ones right now. They're saying, "Don't give me any PDF files. Don't give me, you know, a bunch of O&M documents. All I want is a data set. Just give me a clean data set. We're gonna suck it into a digital twin or a maintenance management platform, and that's the main thing that we care about." And in order to deliver that, everybody gets involved. And it's one of those things like, if you want to be part of the project, you just have to get on board. So design, construction, turnover, operation, it's all integrated. A lot of silos have to come down. From a practical standpoint, this means a lot of the data that's in the design tools needs to transfer to field tools like BlueRithm, and then ultimately needs to transfer to operational tools. And this is a constant iterative thing that's going on throughout the entire project because it tends to be more common on design build projects and there's constant change. So
And
BlueRithm
if I can,
is well positioned to support these projects. We're doing more and more. We just finished an integration with a digital twin platform called Willow. We've got more coming. We're just about done with an add-in for Revit, so you can export data from Revit to BlueRithm. So BlueRithm can kind of become this bridge that kind of spans between design, construction, and turnover. A lot of stuff to talk about here, of course, and a lot of work that we're doing. Uh, Ray, how are we
thanks,
doing?
Andy. We've got only about 1 minute left, including question time. So I think you might want to address the one question that can you see that okay? Do you need me to read that?
If you don't mind, could you read it?
No, not at all. So one of the attendees says, I believe software will be very crowded. It's better to separate project documentation, such as, I believe Microsoft is what he means, and keep performance sheets only. What's your opinion on that?
Um, Sorry, let me turn up my volume. I missed, I think, a key part of what you said there.
Can you see it now? Or
Yeah, go ahead, please.
so he said, I believe software will be very crowded. It's better to separate project documentation, such as Microsoft or MS. I assume that's Microsoft, and keep performance sheets only. What's your opinion on that?
Um,
And keep
You
in
know,
mind,
I
this has to be
guess,
a relatively short opinion.
yeah.
We're about out of time.
I,
So,
I would I would just say it starts at the end. So it starts with what the owner wants and what the owner needs and what's going to be beneficial for them to manage their facility for the next 50 years or whatever the life cycle is. So you start there, you work backwards, and that's what dictates the process and what your role is in that and what ultimately gets provided to them at the end of a project.
okay, great. Thank you. We are basically out of time for this portion. So we can move now to the giveaway. And by the way, the chat feature is now working for everybody. So you should be able to use the chat feature instead of the Q&A. Go ahead and type in BlueRithm into the chat if you're still active and want to be eligible for the giveaway. I don't think Andy will ding you if you misspell it. He can weigh in on that. But the giveaway that they're doing is a 10th generation iPad, 10.9 inch. It's the newest generation iPad. So again, just enter BlueRithm in the chat window if you want to be eligible for that. All right, and we have our winner for the BlueRithm giveaway for the iPad. It's Gary Haydu, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that name. Gary, congratulations. We'll get your information to Andy, and he will be in touch very soon. So with that, thank you for this second portion of the technology showcase. And we've got a break again, and we will get going again at 1:55. So just again, a few minutes, and we'll be back with CX Alloy. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.